In order to get meaningful answers to your questions, we must first ask the proper questions. Let's talk about this. Welcome to the Armed Citizen channel. My name is Mark, and I do this video mentorship for all armed citizens, be they new or experienced. I talk about the things that I think no one else talks about. So please, like my videos, subscribe, and share them with people of all political persuasions. Let's get into the content. With computers, we IT people have a term, GJO, or garbage in, garbage out. If you have bad data, you will never get a meaningful answer to any search or query. You get the same thing if you have good data, but ask the wrong questions. In 2013, I was on a forum where we had liberals and conservatives, and we mostly had calm discussions on many political topics of the day. One of the liberals, vehemently against the civilian ownership of firearms, posted this graphic. Now, this graphic starts out immediately on the wrong foot. Can you see what I'm talking about? There are actually two logical fallacies there. Take a closer look. The first is the word justifiable is in scare quotes, which implies the author does not believe in a person's big R right to defend themselves. The label justified first comes up if or when the prosecutor declines to prosecute the armed citizen, which states that the armed citizen's actions were lawful, or the jury returns a not guilty verdict. Thusly, the term justifiable is a statement of legal fact and does not deserve scare quotes. The second logical fallacy is that this whole document applies that every incident of an armed citizen defending themselves must result in shots fired and the forced expiration of the attacker. Gary Kleck blew this notion up back in the 90s. Kleck, who was at the time ardently against the civilian ownership of guns, performed a statistical survey to prove that gun control worked. Once he acquired and studied the data was so overwhelming that being armed saves lives. He switched sides, and since then has been an enthusiastic supporter of the right to keep and bear arms. The current term for this is DGU, or defensive gun use. And while it is impossible to determine exactly how many DGUs, defensive gun uses, there are in any given period of time, kind of like the mass shootings that never happened from the last video, we can extrapolate that at least several 100,000 to a couple million times a year an armed citizen successfully defends themselves from an attack. 92% of the time it goes down like this. The bad guys present as a threat. The defender says or shows that they are armed, and the bad guys suddenly realize they're late for an appointment somewhere else.
If you value your lives, be somewhere else.
So, exactly how many DGUs? Well, today in 2025, we are looking at estimates between 800,000 and 2.5 million such occurrences annually, depending upon the survey and where it's being sampled. I really hate interrupting myself mid-tirade, but I just wanted to put in a real quick reminder to please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with all of your friends. that's how I grow this channel and get to more people. So, all right, back to myself. Let's go back to the original graphic so you have a context of size. I had to infer some math to figure that every pistol icon in this graphic represents a count of 265 incidents. Now, here it comes, the scale of defensive gun uses. Each square is 100 pistol icons. Every row of squares is 1,000. Oh, I'm sorry. That 3,000 is the bottom end of the estimates. Here's the high end. And if you can't see it, there's a blue line around some of the icons on the bottom. That's the ones where shots were actually fired. Here, let me bold that up in red. Below that red line, that's 8% of the total, which is how many times shots are actually fired. That's a total of 9,434 icons, each representing about 265 defensive gun uses, on the high end admittedly, including that one icon all alone up there that started this whole thing. These are citizens defending themselves with firearms. It was the great science fiction writer Robert A. Heinlein who coined the phrase, "An armed society is a polite society." That is true to a point, and we will talk about that in a future video. Today, here, now, the truth is an armed society is a peaceable society. Because when a criminal tries to criminal, the last thing they want to find out is the prospective victim had his or her good friend Mr. 9mm with him. This means criminals don't criminal unless they are very sure the intended victim can't fight back. Now, let's suppose for a moment that somehow or another the law-abiding citizens were totally disarmed. Out of those 800,000 to 2.5 million incidents, how many do you think might move from a citizen successfully defending themselves to a robbery, a struggle snuggle, an assault, a termination? Depending upon how effective the civilian disarmament was, certainly more than one, and maybe a majority of them, quite probably all of them, because each of them already were crimes in the process of being committed. They just got stopped before it got too started because the victim had the arms to fight back. Take heart, my fellow armed citizens. Going about our lives while being armed works. It works hundreds of thousands, if not million times a year. Y'all have yourselves a wonderful day. If you made it this far into the video, thank you. Just one last request that you like and subscribe and share with your friends and send me some feedback on the way so I know where to go and what I might have messed up. Y'all have yourselves a wonderful day.